The term personal branding, it was coined over 20 years ago now, but more recently the term personal brand has become much more popular. When somebody creates their own personal brand, they strive to present themselves to the public in a certain light so that their image is getting projected consistently through everybody else's individual perception lenses. Someone's personal brand, they can typically try to project it as positive, but sometimes they tarnish their brand. A work environment has something very similar, only it's called professionalism instead of brand, and it's been called that for decades. We're constantly being evaluated by others. You see, our employees, our peers, and our bosses, they see us through three different lenses. The first lens is visual. How do we appear to them? The second lens, it's audible. Or in other words, it's how they hear us or see us through speech and written formats. And the third lens is interactive. With this lens, they'll evaluate us based on how we interact as individuals and as part of a team. The first lens that's used to evaluate our professionalism, it's the visual lens. And here our coworkers are watching our actions and our behaviors. Are we reliable? Do we show up for work every day? Are we dressed appropriately for our roles? And do we represent the company well in regards to our attire? Do we keep our work area clean? Do we observe company policy? Do we lead by example? And lastly, do we have good energy at work? For example, do we have a bounce in our step and do we move quickly to solve problems? Or do we look tired all the time? The second lens that is used to evaluate our professionalism is the audible lens. Here, our coworkers, they're listening to what we say and how we say things through verbal and written formats. How's the tone of our voice? Do we use too many slang words? Are we quick to anger? Are our emails well written and thoughtful, or do they carry unwarranted hostility sometimes? Do we use email too often instead of scheduling face-to-face meetings to solve problems? And the third lens that's used to evaluate our professionalism is the interactive lens. And here, our coworkers, they're evaluating our personal interactions. Are we constantly blaming other people or backstabbing people? Do we take the water cooler conversations a little bit too far? Do we carry around a negative vibe in all situations? Do we get caught up in gossip and help spread rumors? Do we practice favoritism with employees based on our relationships? And do we always act with transparency and integrity? Do we communicate in a way that helps others succeed? Information is power. Do we use it appropriately? Do we run well-organized meetings and do we fully participate in the meetings that are facilitated by other people? And lastly, do we follow up on our assignments? And do we follow up with people who request information from us? Ignoring people and action items is certainly unprofessional. I realize that professionalism, it seems really basic and easy to follow. And maybe this video is not even warranted, but I've seen professionals violate every one of these common sense standards over the last few years. And I think for the most part, these professionals, they're just unaware of the poor image that they created for themselves. And it's a detriment to their own career. You see, very often they're just tarnishing their own workplace brand unknowingly. Ultimately, basic professionalism, it's a pretty low bar. Show up to work every day, be friendly, be smart with emails, don't get caught up in the muck, and dress in a way that represents the company well. Professionalism yields respect, and it doesn't take much effort.